Hafa-adai, good evening, and thanks for tuning in to the Pacific News Center. We are broadcasting live in Saipan and in Guam. I'm Clint Rogel.
And I'm Janella Carrera. Thanks for tuning in. Your top story tonight, another tourist died in Guam's waters over the weekend. The body of a 33-year-old Korean woman was recovered from deep depths yesterday morning. PNC's Betsy Brown has more on the fatal dive accident.
It's Guam's signature wall dive, and dozens of tourists dive there every day. But on Saturday, the Blue Hole claimed the life of a 33-year-old Korean tourist. Prince Hapadeli was leading another group of divers when he noticed the woman, identified as Yeonhwa Lee, below recreational depths.
I went down to about 140, and I saw this diver at the bottom of the Blue Hole. That's about 200 feet, and the instructor was trying to get her attention to come back up. By that time, instead of coming up, she was swimming outwards towards the blue. And I was just following her until I couldn't see her anymore, and I was only following her bubbles until I couldn't see any more bubbles coming up.
Lee was diving in a small group led by a guide from Guam Dream Dive. According to the tour group, Lee had logged 100 dives and was certified as a dive master. But longtime diving professional Jim Miller explains that even divers with a high certification level can run into trouble if they're not paying attention to their depth.
When you're in that clear of water and you're going down, although you have a wall behind you, if you're looking out, there is no reference point. So if you're not paying attention to your instruments, every diver has a computer. So if you're not looking at your computer and you're just looking out, no, it can be very deceiving, the depth.
But Miller says diving in Guam, even at the Blue Hole, is safe as long as you're aware of the dangers.
For the amount of divers that are diving here every day, tourists and locals alike, military, the amount of dives done every day, we have an incredibly clean record. It's a very safe activity because of the safety guidelines that are built in.
Miller says divers should stay within their certification limits, 100 feet for advanced divers, 60 feet for divers with basic training, and the 130 feet maximum depth for recreational diving. At deep depths, nitrogen can create an intoxicating effect called nitrogen narcosis, which Hapadeli believes may have played a role in Saturday's accident. According to PNC files, another accident at the Blue Hole claimed the life of a 53-year-old woman in 2010. Betsy Brown, PNC News.
The Department of Education is looking to revamp the island's only alternative school. PNC's Rosel Romana spoke with DOE Superintendent John Fernandez, and she has more in this report.
Department of Education Superintendent John Fernandez says after touring several schools and reviewing school programs, he wants to make major changes to JP Torres Alternative School. Fernandez says he wants to stop sending middle school students to the school and instead support them in their home schools.
We're talking to middle school administrators about what can we do on your campus to serve these kids, to give them the extra focus, attention, and supervision that they'll need so that we don't all of a sudden put them out of sight, out of mind at some school down south that now we may, there's a risk of forgetting about their needs and not paying attention to those outcomes if we're not careful.
About 70 school kids from the 6th to 12th grade are currently enrolled at school. These students were referred to JP Torres because of behavioral issues. What does that mean to the rest of the students who are high schoolers? Fernandez says DOE plans on changing the school's curriculum and gearing it towards helping students graduate.
Let's look at how we can turn the alternative program into a positive program focused on graduation, focused on credit recovery, and also helping some of these students who are going to be some of our more challenged students to get the support they need to ignore these distractions, focus on their work, and make it to high school graduation so they can get that diploma and move on with their lives.
Rosel Romanes, PNC News.
The request for proposal to fix up Simon Sanchez High School is nearing completion, but Department of Education Superintendent John Fernandez tells us that instead of trying to salvage the old structure, DOE would rather build a completely new school. 2 weeks ago, officials from DOE, Department of Public Works, Guam Economic Development Authority, and the Attorney General's office took a tour of Sanchez to find out what the school's major problems are. Fernandez says he's very excited because there will be a lot of construction taking place. He tells us that plans for the new school include a sports facility and an auditorium, two facilities Sanchez has lacked since it was built. He emphasizes that with the building of a new Sanchez High School, he wants to keep the school operating so the students' education will not be disrupted. Fernandez tells the Sanchez community that change is coming and the $100 million RFP is in final stages.
In addition, we sat down with Simon Sanchez's faculty, their department chairs, and we said, what do you want? What do you want to see in a new school? How would you want us to move forward in either phasing it or so that you can continue to operate while we're constructing? And we've got a lot of ideas that they sent in, and so we're integrating that into the process so that we can develop a scope of work. So when bidders come in and they look at what's being asked for, they can put together the best proposals.
He says after the RFP for Sanchez goes out, the next goal is to complete the master facilities plan, which would address problems in the other DOE schools with the remaining funds.
And to kick off Chamorro Month, or Mes Chamorro, the village of Umatec, or Humatak, held festivities all weekend long and today as part of its Guam History and Chamorro Heritage Day celebration. This new holiday is actually a reboot of the former Discovery Day, which the village of Humatak has celebrated for generations in commemoration of explorer Ferdinand Magellan's landing on Guam. It used to be called Discovery Day. Now it's called Guam History and Chamorro Heritage Day. It's a GovGuam holiday that was taken away and then given back just last year, thanks to a bill introduced by Senator Tommy Morrison. It's a celebration that the people of Umatec, or Humatak, have been holding for generations, originally to commemorate explorer Ferdinand Magellan's landing on Guam, and now to celebrate Guam's rich history and its unique Chamorro heritage.
This is not only about Umatec, this is all about everybody, about the Chamorros, We want to make everybody, come down here because this is a holiday, and this is what it's all about. It's about the Chamorros. So we want everybody to come down, bring their families down, and come down and enjoy themselves.
And at the festivities, people can enjoy all sorts of food, entertainment, and games like coconut husking and a greased pig catching competition, as well as reenactments of the landing of Magellan. The Humatak Community Foundation is also holding tours of Humatak's 6 historic sites.
Each site have at least 3 or 4 youth that can share with the visitors the history of that site, the history of Humatak, and again share with them how they live down here and what they do here.
These sites begin with the F.Q. Sanchez School, followed by the old San Dionisio Church ruins that date back to the Spanish era. Then there is the San Dionisio Church that was built in 1939.
And right behind that church is the foundation of the old governor's palace, the Palacio, the summer palace. During the Spanish period, the governor would come down here and spend his summer waiting for the ships to come in. Right after that, you walk down the street and you hit the outdoor library, the one and only outdoor library here on Guam. You go further and you will meet the youth down at Fort Santo Angel, and they will explain to you about that fort.
The festivities kicked off on Friday and will last until 12 midnight tonight before picking up again next weekend. The final celebration will be on Sunday of next weekend.
All right, we go now to Blake Watson, who's going to tell us what's up next in sports.
It's not too bad. It's a little pre-shift meal from my coworker Clint. Thanks, Clint. Meanwhile, sports, baseball, basketball, and a lot of sports in sports.